Est-ce que le conseiller Bourgeois est là?
Non, je ne le vois pas.
Et quelle heure? Est-ce qu'on peut commencer? We can begin. Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening everyone. Donc, nous allons appeler la réunion à l'ordre. Donc, Madame la greffière.
Your Worship, all public meetings of Moncton City Council are simultaneously translated. Hearing assistant devices are available at the entrance of council chambers. Members of the public have the right to address council in the official language of their choice. Meetings are broadcast live on both in both official languages on the city's YouTube channel, accessible via moncton.ca, and will also be aired at 9 p.m. this evening on rogerstv.com. Individuals who have registered with the city clerk's office at least 7 days prior to the meeting agenda deadline will be allocated 5 minutes to deliver their presentation. All other public presenters will be allotted 2 minutes. 1 minute warning will be provided to indicate the remaining. Important reminder to everyone present: all presenters, city staff, and council members are expected to conduct themselves respectfully at all times. Disparaging remarks, offensive language, or profane expressions directed towards council, staff, or members of the public will not be permitted. Any breach of this code may result in the presenter being directed to leave the council chambers at the discretion of the chair. Toutes les séances publiques du Conseil municipal de la Ville de Moncton sont traduites simultanément. Des appareils d'aide à l'audition sont disponibles à l'entrée de la salle du Conseil. Les membres du public ont le droit de s'adresser au Conseil municipal dans la langue officielle de leur choix. Les séances sont diffusées en direct dans les 2 langues officielles sur les chaînes YouTube de la Ville, accessibles sur le site moncton.ca, et seront également diffusées à 21h ce soir sur rogerstv.com. Les personnes qui se sont inscrites auprès du bureau de la greffière municipale au moins 7 jours avant la date limite du dépôt de l'ordre du jour de la séance disposeront de 5 minutes pour faire leur présentation. Tout autre intervenant public disposeront de 2 minutes. Un avertissement d'1 minute sera donné pour indiquer qu'il reste seulement 1 minute. Un rappel important: tous les intervenants, le personnel municipal et les membres du conseil municipal sont tenus de se comporter de manière respectueuse en tout temps. Les remarques désobligeantes, le langage offensant ou les expressions grossières à l'égard du conseil municipal, du personnel ou des membres du public ne seront pas tolérés. Tout manquant à cette code de conduite peut entraîner l'expulsion de l'intervenant de la salle du conseil à la discrétion du président ou de la présidente.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Est-ce qu'il y a des changements à l'ordre du jour?
Yes. We would like to add a resolution under our consent agenda from UMNB regarding Cities of New Brunswick Association. Also, we would kindly ask that administration presentation from the RCMP be moved after planning matters.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Donc, Conseiller Richard, Conseiller Steves, for the adoption of the agenda. Donc, any questions? No questions. We will go to the vote. Donc, manual vote, c'est ça? Donc, on est tous d'accord? Merci beaucoup, Madame la greffière.
There are no minutes to be adopted. Conflict of interest et déclaration des conflits d'intérêts.
Are there any conflicts of interest? No.
Okay. Next is consent agenda. As I indicated, the Cities of New Brunswick Association, there is a resolution that was sent to council on Friday. And we would like to, I don't need to read it into the record, however, media will be provided a copy of this resolution. We need a mover and a seconder.
So, Conseiller Richard and Conseiller Kingston. So, any questions? If not, can we go to the vote? Manuel. C'est beau, merci. Motion carried. Est-ce que Conseiller Bourgeois est en ligne? Do we have someone online?
No.
Non? C'est beau, merci.
First up are planning matters, les questions d'urbanisme, and the first up today is an introduction indexing of development charges by law, and I see Josh Davies is approaching the podium.
Bonsoir, Josh.
Bonjour. Okay, so I have two applications that will be coming forward in sequence that relate to the indexing of fees for the 2026 calendar year. So the first one that we'll be discussing is an introduction for the indexing of the development charge bylaw. So as council is aware, development charges may be indexed annually to account for increases in construction costs. And the City of Moncton, through Statistics Canada, has its own building construction price index. So essentially that is relating to the cost of construction for non-residential infrastructure. So we've indexed the bylaw now quite a few times. I believe this is the fourth or the fifth time. And so the index rate has actually gone down compared to previous years, and this year is standing at 4%. So the development charge bylaw as well is looking at infrastructure in strategic areas of the city where growth is paying for future infrastructure improvements. So we have a number of them throughout the city listed here. And yes, essentially, so the cost compared to last year, and we use a 2025 index for the 2026 year. So that's why it doesn't show, it's basically we're only able to index based on the information we have, which goes through to Q2. So the development charge areas shown will be indexed by 4%. And I will note that in one case for the Mountain Road Worthington, those development charges have been paid in full. So the bylaw has been amended or updated to that effect. So the Mountain Road Worthington, it will stay on just for the purposes of history and tracking, but those DCs have been paid in full. So before council is a recommendation. So it is recommended that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed amending bylaw being Z 1519.5 by giving first reading of the bylaw, requesting the views of the Planning Advisory Committee, and ultimately to set a public hearing for mid-December 2025 to consider objections. That it concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Merci, Josh. I need a mover and a seconder. Conseiller Jarre, Conseiller Kingston. Conseiller Richard, do you have a question? Oui?
Wait. Thank you, Josh. Quick presentation. Works good?
Short and sweet, yep.
There you go. So out of CRF, I really appreciate the comment, growth should pay for growth. I really like that. And if I understood right, this motion directly affects the next item coming up, right?
No, they're two separate things. So we have the fees and charges bylaw, which I'll touch on in the next presentation. This is purely for the development charge areas contained in a separate bylaw. So it's breaking out the two between the fees and charges bylaw and the development charge bylaw. So we'll be applying an increase in rates to both bylaws.
Okay. And the way that we're increasing these through the StatCan and Building Construction Index,
Yep.
the Moncton series, we're constant. That's consistent. That's what we're doing every year.
That's right.
So would it make sense in the future to make a motion to just follow those and then bring information to council, or?
It may. I may defer to legal and to Nick, but essentially we would need to amend the bylaw, would be my understanding, because the way that the bylaw is structured, it says shall be indexed, and it may be subject to council approval within that section. It's one that we could always amend, but again, that would be another amendment to the bylaw to give effect to administration to undertake that. But I would leave that to legal to confirm.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, I mean, we could look at doing it that way, but it's like Josh said, we'd have to amend the bylaw either way. But I mean, there could be certain circumstances where we don't want to follow that particular index, and we may want to raise it higher or lower. So we've taken the approach to come back to council every year, but we could look at that.
Yep. No. Okay. That's great. I just needed some clarification. Thank you.
Yes. Merci, Conseiller Richard. There are no other questions. We will go to the vote, which is electronic, right?
Councillor Crossman, Councillor Edgett are not present for the vote.
Well, thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Merci. Madame la greffière.
Le prochain item, c'est l'introduction des arrêtés sur les droits et redevances. Je vois que Josh est là de nouveau.
Yep, thank you. So again, the second of our bylaw amendments relating to the increasing in fees. So this one being the fees and charges bylaw. Oh no, I'm good here, actually. So this is the annual update to the fees and charges bylaw. The bylaw itself is divided into Appendixes A and B, and that is important because Appendix B is what contains the planning fees. So in terms of implementing fees within New Brunswick, the part of that can go through the Local Governance Act, but the other would have to go through the Community Planning Act, which has the similar or same process as a rezoning, as a bylaw amendment. So that's why the Appendix B is before Council tonight. Again, being subject to the Community Planning Act, which requires a referral to the Planning Advisory Committee, a public hearing, and ministerial approval. And similar to previous years, we're looking at a 2.5% increase for all planning and related fees for 2026. So you can see here, again, we're looking at a 2.5% increase over and above what was permitted this year in 2025. And subject to council approval, the bylaw amendment is listed so that those fees would not take effect until January 1st of the new year. So in terms of a recommendation, it is recommended that council give first reading of the proposed bylaw, A-1324.3, respecting fees, rates, charges for services provided in the City of Moncton, referring Appendix B, again, the Community Planning Act related fees, to the Planning Advisory Committee and setting a public hearing date for the December 15th of 2025 for items referred to the PAC. And it would be important to note, too, that when the bylaw comes back in December, Council will be recommending a decision on the bylaw in its entirety. It's just that Schedule B does have to go through a slightly different approval process before the entire bylaw can be approved by council. So that would, so in terms of next steps, sorry, we'll be going to PAC next week and a public hearing in December with a ministerial approval to follow and those fees being applied in the new year. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Are there any questions? I do have a motion. Conseiller Légère, Conseiller Leblanc, do you wish to move? C'est beau, merci. Any questions? Oh, Conseiller Bourgeois, vous êtes là?
Vous m'entendez?
Oui, on t'entend bien. Allez-y.
J'ai appuyé mon bouton quand on était sur 7.1. Ça fait je peux attendre après la résolution sur 7.2 si vous répétez.
J'ai pas compris, conseiller Bourgeois.
J'ai appuyé mon bouton pour parler lorsqu'on était sur 7.1.
Ah.
C'est pas grave. Finissez 7.2, puis là, si vous vous donnez la parole après ça, c'est bien.
Pour 7.1, c'est ça? C'est beau.
Oui.
Donc, 7.2, are there any questions from anyone? There are no questions, so we will go to the vote, which is electronic. Merci. Thank you, everyone. Motion carried. Merci. Conseiller Bourgeois, 7.1. Allez-y.
Merci, Madame la maire. C'était pour faire du pouce sur ce que le conseiller Richard a soulevé tantôt. Si on a un arrêté qui dit qu'on doit augmenter les frais ou taux d'inflation, je ne vois pas pourquoi on revient chaque année pour demander ça. On a un arrêté semblable en ce qui concerne le salaire des conseillers et des membres du conseil, qui automatiquement est ajusté au taux de l'inflation. On ne revient pas, si ma mémoire est à chaque année pour demander au conseil de ratifier ça. C'est automatique, c'est dans l'arrêté. Alors, je ne vois pas pourquoi le conseil, à chaque année, devrait se pencher sur un arrêté qui me paraît assez clair.
Merci, conseiller Bourgeois. Nick?
Merci pour les commentaires. We'll certainly take that under consideration. We'll go back and review the bylaw, and we'll see if it is necessary or not for council to approve it every year, and we'll report back to council.
So we don't need a direction to staff, you will do it?
No, we will do it.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Madame la greffière.
The next item is 7.3, Introduction 75 Botsford St. Bernard Square, and I believe that Sarah Anderson is coming to the podium.
Bonsoir, Sarah.
Bonsoir. All right. So this is an application to amend previously approved plans for the development of lands located at Botsford Street, Victoria Street, and Wesley Street. The revised plans accommodate a 6-story mixed-use building with 98 residential units, commercial units on the main floor, and 103 parking stalls. So the subject site is located in the downtown, and that is in Ward 1. The site is surrounded by a mix of uses, including commercial, restaurants, there's multiple unit dwellings, there's surface parking lots, and there's also a large church to the south. The surrounding zones are also mixed. We've got some UR, some urban residential to the south, the east, and the northwest. SBD, or Secondary Business District, is to the north, and CBD, which is the Central Business District, and that is further to the south. Several of the surrounding buildings are designated heritage properties as well. In terms of the broader context, the site is located at the edge of the traditional urban core. Being only 1 block away from City Hall, it benefits from very close proximity to amenities, transit, and employment areas on Main Street and the surrounding downtown area. So the subject land was successfully rezoned in early 2024 from SBD, or Secondary Business District, to CBD, Central Business District. This was to accommodate the construction of an 18-story mixed-use building with 181 residential units, commercial units at grade, and 136 parking stalls with underground and at-grade parking. The image on the right is what is currently approved. That's the 18-story building. Over the last several years, the developer has worked with architects and engineers and financial partners on the building and its design, and it was determined that the 18-story building in this location would not be feasible. So for this reason, after much discussion and review of different options, the developer has proposed a redesign. So the new design is for this the 6-story building with 98 residential units, commercial at grade, and a total of 103 parking stalls. So the image on the left shows the new proposed building. That mixed-use concept will remain. We will have commercial units facing Botsford Street, as well as a portion of Victoria Street, and the upper floors will still be for residential units. So the image on the left here is Botsford Street. On the right, we see Victoria Street. And you can see on that image on your right, the building is U-shaped, and that's in order to accommodate some surface parking for customers into the sort of the middle of the site. So it's not, the parking is not a prominent part of the site or the development. So in terms of the changes, the revised number of residential units is down from 98, down from the original 181, and the revised number of parking stalls is 103, and that's down from the original 136. The main lobby entrance for the residential units is off of Botsford Street, and that's shown on the image on the left. On the right, we see the Wesley Street side, and you can see there's a garage door entrance on that side to the underground parking. The image also shows the new building in relation to the church to the south, and you can see here the space between the buildings. There is an easement for the church, which is being respected, but it's also showing that space between there will be landscaped, it will be lit, and it will remain open, but it won't be, the word I'm looking for, it will remain open. The church can use that space for maintenance, but it won't be a space there will be no benches or anything like that to encourage people to linger, sort of thing. Here we see two images showing the context of the subject building in relation to the Heritage Church to the south. So the image on the bottom is the currently approved 18-story building. The image on the top, we see the currently proposed design. So the landowner has designed the building to showcase the heritage features of the church to the south rather than to block them. So the upper floors of the building will step back sufficiently on that Botsford Street side to leave space for the church to remain visible as you come down Botsford Street. Additionally, they've used clear plexiglass deck railings to ensure that you can still see the stained glass windows and the architectural features at the front of the church. You can see that they're still visible along that viewscape of Botsford Street. The application was presented to the Heritage Conservation Board on November 13th, so just last week, and the feedback received will be provided to Council in time for the public hearing. So with that, in terms of a recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with zoning bylaw amendment, being bylaw Z 222.56. That number one, council give first reading to the bylaw amendment. Number two, that the amendment be referred to the Planning Advisory Committee for their written views. And number three, that a public hearing be set for December 15th. And that the application be subject to a number of conditions that are included in the report. And I guess what I can go through to the next steps. The Planning Advisory Committee would be November 26th, which would be next week, and the public hearing and second and third readings, if approved, would be December 15th. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Merci beaucoup, Sarah. Councillor Crossman, do you wish to move the recommendation? And you do have. And could I have a seconder, please? Conseiller Richard. Merci. Go ahead, Conseiller Crossman.
Conseiller Bourgeois.
Non,
Conseiller Bourgeois.
Désolé, conseiller Bourgeois, vous avez une question?
Oui, j'ai une question, mais si vous voulez...
Non, non, ça va, je n'ai pas vu votre lumière, allez-y.
Non, c'est pas grave, mais est-ce que monsieur le conseiller Crossman avait appris avant? Moi,
C'est OK, c'est beau, merci.
Merci, Sarah. Ma question, c'est, je trouve, la partie du développement qu'on va réserver pour du stationnement à l'intérieur du complexe. Pourriez-vous m'expliquer ça? Parce que ça garde vraiment bizarre. Je ne sais pas si c'est le genre de stationnement qu'on veut développer au centre-ville.
When you say au centre du bâtiment, do you mean the surface parking lot or the interior of the building?
The interior, the middle of the U-shaped, like there's a, I don't know, 10, 12 spot parking, flat surface parking, street level, inside that
In there.
complex. It just seems so bizarre. I've never seen that.
The only time I think we've seen it, and it's a little bit different with the Three Sisters. The U shape is bigger with the Three Sisters, but part of that was a small parking lot in the front. I think it had 10 to 12 spaces there as well. And the intent, the clientele, I guess, for that parking was for drop-offs. It was for people who would be coming to, go to a shop and then maybe leave. It was not for long-term parking. What is a good thing or a benefit of it is that it's not a prominent part of the development. It does help to reduce the bulk of the building by giving it sort of a U shape instead of one big bulk of a building, but it also does provide those quick spaces for people who may not have access to, they may not live in the area, they may need to have a car and bring it to the downtown, but still visit the sites.
Yeah, but 99% of our downtown businesses, and these would be businesses, parking for the businesses, right? So 99% of our businesses in the downtown their clients have to park in either the garage or the streets and ADUs and stuff like that. So why are we encouraging flat surface parking? In our existing municipal development plan, it's very clearly stated that City Council will discourage flat surface parking. And here we are encouraging it. So I don't need the answer right now. Let me refer to the Planning Advisory Committee or have a public hearing. But it makes no sense to me. So I hope that by the time it comes back to council, that issue has been addressed. Would you specifically ask the Planning Advisory Committee to look into this? And to me, it's contradictory to our existing municipal plan. We have a clearly stated objective of getting rid of flat surface parking, discouraging flat surface parking, quote unquote. So here we are encouraging it. It just doesn't make sense. So please ask that specific question to the Planning Advisory Committee, and you planning staff can think about it as well, and by the time it comes back to council, we'll have a good debate. Thank you. Merci, Madame la Maire.
Merci, Conseiller Bourgeois. Conseiller Crossman.
Thank you, Your Worship. Sarah, thanks for the presentation. I just have, I guess I need clarity. On the previous plan that we had seen as council, and I understand that now this is changing on height, so that it's opening up the heritage property of St. Bernard's Church, which is great. But I thought we also had a fence between the church and the other development and some sort of lighting to keep that area safe and secure and not allow anybody to damage the heritage property that was next door, but allow them still full access. Can you maybe check on that? I didn't see it in the recommendations anywhere, so I'm just curious to know, did we remove that fence that they were talking about? Because I know that I had to get St. Bernard's to sit down with city staff and the developer to make sure that all this was going to roll through nicely a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I know that it came up then, so I'd like to know where it's at.
Sure, I'll definitely bring that up. The only, on the south side, there are a couple of doors, so closer to Botsford Street. So one of the doors accesses the commercial unit on that end.
Okay.
And then there's a door a little bit further along to get to the interior on that parking level on that main floor there in the back part. So those two doors wouldn't be able to be blocked, but can certainly look at, especially from the, maybe from the Wesley side, Wesley Street side, and then partway through.
It's just, we hear a lot of people cutting through yards and doing damage and theft and all this, so if we can
Sure.
limit that, that would be a bonus to not only the heritage property, but the new building as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship.
Merci, Conseiller Crossman. Conseiller Radjet.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. I wanted to ask about the commercial space. Is it, how does that compare with the original plans that were made and the current plans? We're still going to have the first floor as commercial?
We will. It's a little bit less than the original plan because the original plan had the full length of Victoria Street was going to be commercial as well. So in this case, it's really just the side facing Botsford and then that side facing Victoria. Once you hit the parking, that other section that faces Victoria is a parking entrance for the at-grade parking. So that the commercial component is reduced in this, but the main streets, the main sort of pedestrian thoroughfares have been covered. So across from, say, Tony's Bistro, which is new on that corner as well, that corner will be addressed as well as along the length of Botsford.
Along Botsford?
Yes.
But not the other side, not along Victoria?
No,
Okay.
just at the corner, yes.
Yeah.
But then not the side of Victoria and
That's on the
Wesley.
other side of the surface parking?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. What's on that side?
So it's at-grade parking. So they
So when
have,
they come in from the park, it's going to be part of the building itself, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they'll have parking on the first floor?
at the back, yes,
Okay.
yeah. And we're seeing that.
That's a bit unfortunate. I would have hoped they would have put more commercial, or as much commercial as possible there. Was that a consideration?
It definitely was. What we've been hearing a lot of is it's difficult to find people who want to put commercial in. With so much ordering online, people are finding it difficult to find tenants for commercial spaces. That's something I'm hearing a lot more of. And so I guess in this sense, it was a compromise, that the main thoroughfares were commercial, but the other side wasn't.
So are we changing sort of our standards from what we've been asking in the past? Because it certainly has been, I think what we've been emphasizing with our developers is that we do want that first floor commercial component.
We do, and ideally, and as we go through the municipal plan review, hopefully we'll be able to address some of those ideas. You know, even just, I know some of the ideas we're coming up or thinking about is having commercial units as, smaller commercial units. We're hearing a lot more people wanting to put parking at grade instead of surface parking certainly, but parking at grade in the building. But, if we can have commercial lining the street, they can't find big tenants, so smaller
Smaller
mom and pop shop kind of thing is something that we're trying to encourage and,
Address.
enable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Merci, conseiller Redger, conseiller Léger.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. Thanks, Sarah. Just a couple things. The surface parking also probably would be used for moving in, moving out, and certain deliveries and so on as well. So it serves a purpose, I think, maybe even for the development. I think what would be interesting would be to maybe understand how much of that is designated for that use. Like, in other words, just to try to better understand why they're proposing this and to help answer some of those questions. And then just following up on what Deputy Mayor Crosman was mentioning related to the fence. And so I think that would be really important, that it be a condition of this development, that a proper metal decorative fence. I think of some of the fencing that is available in and around some of the churches be placed there, so it allows them access. There are proper working gates. I saw on the plan you were mentioning that small section where there will be two-door access for the building. Maybe that is kind of parceled off, but to really make it part of the condition of the development so that it's not an undue burden on St. Bernard's to try to figure out later on how to manage this. And hopefully as well, part of that will be extra lighting and things like that. And I'm just wondering, maybe as this moves forward to the Planning Advisory Committee, that the St. Bernard's be engaged so that they have a better understanding of what, I mean, yes, they used to own the property, I believe, and they sold it, but bottom line is there's a vested interest in that synergy between the new building and St. Bernard. So I would hope that could happen. And anyway, just want to sort of put that out. But I do think the fence has to be a condition, and it has to be something that maybe should show up maybe in the next renderings when it comes before council in December as to what that's going to look like. So that way, it's there and there are no surprises. Okay. Other than that, I think it's interesting how, it's it's 6 stories. 6 stories really for that area might be far better, to be honest. I'm just looking forward to something happening there. So my question, I think, will be from the, we've gone with a variety of different plans on this site for a number of years. So I think an answer in December would be how soon will this project start? If we're going to entertain this one last time, and let's have something that can move forward in a hurry. So I would hope that we get answers to that. So thank you. Merci.
Merci,
Madame.
conseiller Léger, conseiller Richard.
Merci, Maire Stereo. Thank you, Sarah, for the presentation. Let's talk about parking.
Great.
Do you mind clarifying add grade and exterior?
Sure.
These terms were used.
Sure. Exterior surface parking would be outside, an outside parking lot. At grade is in the building, but on the main floor. So in this case, the side facing Wesley Street will be parking at grade, but the side facing Botsford will be commercial. So underground is yet another term. So there would be underground as well with this development. So there is the underground, there is a portion of at grade, and then there's the small surface.
Okay, so basically you've got, I believe, 69 underground parking plus 27 at grade.
Right.
Okay. The original plan provided around 0.75 stalls per unit. And this revised plan provides over 1 stall per unit, like 1.05. So even if there's less stalls, there's still more parking available. How does that reflect from the original plan to this one for outdoor parking?
It's my understanding that the outdoor parking is exclusively for the commercial tenants. And that is also something we're hearing a lot more of. That was something with the Harper Street rezoning as well, was that the commercial component required some parking in order for them to agree to lease the space. So this surface parking here would be intended just for the commercial.
I understand, but the 12 outdoor unit
Yep.
parkings are brand new. We didn't have that in the original plan, right?
Right.
Okay. And I think you can see the feel from council about outdoor parking, so
Yes.
I'll leave that with you and whatever meetings are coming forward. Merci.
Merci, Conseiller Richard. So there are no other questions. We will go to the vote. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Le prochain item, c'est l'introduction au rezonage de 124 Avenue McSweeney, and I see Josh getting up again to come to the podium.
Go ahead, Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is another introduction, rezoning, not fee-related, development-related, being bylaw amendment Z 222.57. So the proposed amendment is an application to rezone 124 McSweeney Avenue from R2, two-unit residential zone, to R3, multiple-unit dwelling. The purpose for this rezoning application is to accommodate a two-story plus basement development to a total of 6 residential units on the property, and the applicant is Eric Landry on behalf of a numbered NB company. In terms of location, we're looking in Ward 4 near the Moncton City Hospital north of Mountain Road. So in terms of the zoning today, as it is R2, you'll see the middle map there shows, I guess, a smattering of R3 being multiple unit dwellings, a lot of 2-3-story buildings that have more than one unit, and again, typically 6 to 8, depending on the lot size. For an R2 lot, this is a larger site. It is around over 700 square meters in size. So it is, in terms of its ability to accommodate a development, very suitable. And you'll see the proposed zoning being R3 on the proposed zoning map to the furthest to the right. So in terms of your site plan, the development is very consistent with the expectation of the R3 zone in the zoning bylaw, with 2 minor exceptions for landscaping buffers to what would be the north and the south. The south requires a variance due to there's an accessible wheelchair ramp to provide access from the parking space to the building, to that barrier-free unit, and the other is to accommodate the parking aisle to the north. Beyond that, the development does meet the expectations and requirement of the zoning bylaw for the R3 zone, and you will see existing trees on the western boundary. Those are going to remain on the property, in addition to the installation of a 2-meter fence at the rear to ensure that we're mitigating any potential adverse effects with lighting and the coming and going of vehicles from the property. So in terms of the development, you'll see it is that 2 stories plus basement, as I mentioned. Those basement units will be required to meet building code and satisfy all egress requirements. The design standards of the building at the front elevation go above and beyond what the zoning bylaw would require in terms of its materials, and would be conditioned as such based on the plans that have been provided today. But you'll see access to the units and the ground floor units through the concept renderings that have been provided. Again, here you'll see the renderings in terms of a nice brick material within a bit of a unique design with respect to the steps accessing the upper units. Again, the building in this concept looks tall, but from a perspective of what's adjacent, you'll see that it is consistent with that sort of 2-story height from the ground to the underside of its eaves, which again would be consistent with the bylaw and would not require a variance if it were to go to a planning advisory committee for as of right zoning. I'd say that the egress windows in the basement make it look taller, I guess, than it is. But again, it needs to meet that requirement in order for people to satisfy the building code for any future tenants that may be living there. So in terms of a recommendation, administration recommends that Moncton City Council proceed with proposed zoning bylaw amendment Z-222.57 by giving first reading to the bylaw, referring the amendment to the Planning Advisory Committee for its written views, and setting a public hearing for mid-December 2025. There are some conditions that are recommended. Most of them are the stock standard conditions that we would have for this type of development, with the exception of the fencing requirement to ensure that we're, again, mitigating that effects to adjacent properties. And it would be a 2-meter opaque fence, and that the development be consistent with the overall site plan and with respect to those existing trees as well, wanting to make sure that those remain in place as well. So in terms of our next steps, we'll be going to the Planning Advisory Committee next week on the 26th, and ultimately returning to council for a public hearing and second and third readings on December 15th of this year. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Councillor Richard, do you wish to move the recommendation? And you have a question. Councillor Radjet, do you wish to second? C'est beau, merci. Allez-y, Councillor Richard.
Merci, Maire Stereo. Thank you, Josh. Just quick, and I might have missed it. I read the CRF. I might have missed, but you mentioned off of the site plan showing a fence along the backside, or is that the west side, maybe? Anyway,
Yeah, the western boundary, yeah.
so in the CRF, I didn't find it.
Okay.
But you mentioned it.
Yeah.
So, because in the CRF, I thought I read on both sides. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we are including that. third
Yeah,
dimension.
I'll verify that, but yeah, I'll make sure that it's clear in the public hearing CRF exactly where the fence is, but no, it would be no trouble.
So there will be all three sides.
Yeah, I'll double check the site plan, but when I bring it forward through, I will,
The
yeah.
site plan showed it.
Oh, it did, yeah. So if it's
It
on the
did.
site plan, yeah, it will require, because essentially what we do is we submit the site plan as part of that rezoning application when it goes to the province. So anything that is in the substantial conformance clause, all of those things are included on the site plan, so that's basically taken as it would be written in the CRF as well. But I can make sure that it's included in the future report.
Yeah, please do. I might have misread it, but just so that it's all included.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci. There are no other questions, so we will go to the vote.
Councillor Radjet, could you cast your vote, please? Thank you.
Merci. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
La Greffière.
Next, we will be having a presentation from, an update from the RCMP Superintendent Benoit Jolet. And I see that Ben is coming to the podium.
Bonsoir, Surintendant Jolette.
Bonjour, Madame Thériault, members of council. Sorry about being late. I had an appointment that I could not miss. Thank you for pushing me back later on. I'll go through some of the various highlights that we've seen since I last presented to council in September, and obviously available for questions after. First, speaking about community policing, busy around the city. The main thing that I'd like to stress is, like every year, we've been working with the Anglophone School District East and the District Scolaire Francophone Sud to make sure all the school action for emergency plans are updated, the SAFE plans. That involves a lot of work from our community policing team, going in the schools, making partnerships with the staff, and also doing a subsequent lockdown drill in every single one of the schools. So for those that forget the growing number of schools that we have in the tri-community, we have 41 in the 3 communities. We've completed 40 of the 41 SAFE plans and the lockdown drills. The only one that we're working on now is the new Wabanaki school. So, but that'll be done very shortly. Next, regarding our crime reduction unit, the team has been really hitting home runs lately, and here's just some of the positive interactions and enforcement activities that were done. So if we speak about open-air drug enforcement, I've spoken about this at length in council. Here's just an example of 1 month's statistics. So in September, the team reported a total of 31 interactions with individuals observed using drugs in the public. During those interactions, a total of 11 warrants of arrest were executed, several pipes, paraphernalia, and various drugs were seized. The primary drugs included fentanyl and crystal methamphetamine. And during these interactions and others, the offenders were educated about the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, the fact that what they're doing is illegal, and diverted to local services such as Safe Injection Clinic and addiction services. There's other incidents that I'll go into now where people were not diverted. One in particular here, on October 10th, during a proactive patrol, members of our team observed a stolen vehicle in the Elmwood Drive area, and were able to follow the vehicle here to the downtown on Main Street, where a 21-year-old and a 22-year-old male were arrested without incident. So the members kept digging, and it led to the finding of 2 additional stolen vehicles that were stashed in close vicinity, and a third accomplice, a 26-year-old female, was taken into custody. So all 3 of them, the 2 males and the female, are facing possession of stolen vehicle charges, and the vehicles were returned to their owners. Another incident began on October 16th. Our team started working on an investigation on an individual who was operating not only in our area, but also on the outskirts of town, including a violent home invasion that had occurred in the Bass River, New Brunswick area. We located this individual on the next day, on the 17th of October. However, lost sight of his vehicle, but we ended up finding the vehicle a little bit time later, various firearms inside, replica firearms and ammunition. This led to, on October 21st, our team was able to isolate him at a residence on Pioneer Avenue. And thanks to a coordinated effort by our team and the New Brunswick Emergency Response Team, we were able to take the individual into custody. During the search, we were able to find various items that related to his crimes and put his crime spree to an end. The individual was facing over 50 different charges in the Moncton area and also in the outskirts. He's been remanded into custody. Next, on November 5th, the Crime Reduction Unit executed a drug enforcement and stolen vehicle operation on Dominion Street. It led to the seizure of a large quantity of crack cocaine, illegal prescription medication, and 3 men and 1 woman were arrested. One of the individuals, one of the men, had outstanding warrants, while another one of the males we had been looking for this individual who was facing over 30 separate shoplifting files. The group appeared to be working in a coordinated fashion, and we put an end to their operation that day. Next, on October 5th, this is regarding our general investigation section. October 5th, we responded to a complaint on Dominion Street regarding shots fired. Several members deployed to the area. A 29-year-old female was taken into custody, and a second person, a 37-year-old male, is also being charged with this incident. That specific incident, the reason I bring it up is that it was not a random act of violence, but a targeted attack. So I'd just like to provide council with one specific update. This is regarding August 27th, when we responded to an armed robbery down the street here at the jewelry store at La Mine d'Or. Through the investigation, we've identified a total of 3 suspects. 2 of the 3 have been arrested and are being charged, and we're currently looking for a third. And we're looking for the public's help in giving us information of where this individual can be found. It's been posted throughout social media. Through our patrol team, the main incident that I'd like to bring to council is September 27th. Our team was dispatched to an armed robbery in progress on Mountain Road in the north area. every member deployed towards the scene. It's one of the more violent offenses that I've seen in my tenure here. The suspect fled on foot, attempted to carjack multiple innocent people in the vicinity of the bank, was successful in stealing a vehicle, then discharged his firearm at the arriving patrolling member at a residence at Briardale, purposefully made his way in the residence. Luckily, the occupant of the house was able to escape, and then the individual set fire not only to the residence but a vehicle in the driveway. Multiple members were on scene and were containing the area. The emergency response team was also arriving on scene. But after a tense period, the male was confronted by the Kodiak patrol members, and one of our members discharged his firearm at the suspect, and the male was pronounced deceased on scene. So the matter is being was referred to the New Brunswick, Nova Scotia Serious Incident Response Team. They're currently actively investigating the matter. Thankfully, no member of the public was hurt during this violent offense. I'd like to thank specifically all the residents of that neighborhood because they went through a very difficult day and several days and even weeks after the fact, because there was a lot of unintelligent individuals who kept going to the same area to get a peek of what had happened and kept harassing the residents of that neighborhood. So not only thank you to the residents of the neighborhood, but also all the eyewitnesses. We had countless videos of the incident from individuals that were there. This was in broad daylight. It was not at 2 a.m. So just thank you for everybody that was involved in that investigation. Next, on October 2nd, our patrol team were called to the Evergreen Park School. All the available units attended, including the RCMP's explosive disposal unit. It was regarding a suspicious package with a powdery substance. We took this extremely seriously, used every safety protocol, and it was timely because the school was in their practicing phase of the shelter-in-place and lockdowns, and everything went extremely well. Despite being stressful, it ended up being a benign substance. But again, it's thanks to the staff. The parents, I'm sure, heard about it when the kids went home, but thanks to the kids as well, too, for the amazing work they did. Another incident, one of our members was on regular patrol on North Street, observed a male fall off his bicycle, was concerned for his safety. The member went to go check on the male. It resulted in a further check and discovery that the male was actually wanted by us. And after a search of the male, a very large quantity of, again, fentanyl was located and seized from the individual. He's facing various drug charges, including possession for the purpose of trafficking. One last one here for a patrol team on October 29th. They responded to a male who was armed with an edged weapon and making threats to bystanders at a parking lot on Mountain Road. Again, these are the random acts of violence do not occur a lot in our area, but when they do happen, it can be one of the most scariest call for service that any of our members can go to, and for the victims themselves specifically. So everybody, it was all hands on deck. The individual had left the scene, but we were able to find him a little bit further down at the intersection of Mountain Road and Maplehurst, where we took the individual in custody, despite the fact that he did not want to come lightly with us, but there was no way we were letting him continue that day. That the 46-year-old male did appear in court and was charged with various offenses, including possession of a weapon dangerous for the public. And finally, Madame la Mairesse par intérim, regarding the tactical traffic enforcement team, so since I last reported to council, they did come here for a one-day blitz on October 17th. We partnered with them as usual. And in that one-day blitz, 119 tickets, 20 vehicles towed. It was a safety, an unsafe vehicle operation. 35 vehicles were inspected, 12 deemed unsafe, and 16 needed corrections. available for questions.
Merci, Surintendant. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Are there questions? I don't see any. Donc, merci, Surintendant. Merci à votre équipe aussi
Merci.
pour l'excellent travail. Merci.
Merci.
Next would be statements of members of council, les exposés des membres du conseil.
I don't see any. Go ahead, Madame.
Okay, next is recommendations from private meeting of Moncton City Council on September 8th, 2025. Moncton City Council at its private meeting of September 8th, 2025 reports that the agenda for the private meeting of that date was adopted and recommends the following. That Moncton City Council directs administration to undertake the subdivision of PIDs 00747741 and 00754465 to create 10 building lots and 1 property for land for public purposes as per scenario 3 presented to council in the closed session on September 8th, 2025, and following subdivision to issue a request for development proposal from affordable housing developers in accordance with the disposition and acquisition of municipal land policy, and to allocate 2 of the building lots to Habitat for Humanity. The backgrounder on this: these surplus lands have been viewed as a development site of interest prior to the designation of surplus for affordable housing, given their location relative to amenities, public transportation, schools, and area of employment. City departments were consulted as per the surplus declaration and have expressed support for the development of the lands for affordable housing purpose.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Nick, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Worship. Our General Manager of Sustainable Development just noticed that council has already ratified this decision at a previous meeting, at our October 6th public meeting. So there's no need to vote on this. It was added here in error, so apologies for that.
Merci, Monsieur.
Okay.
Madame la Greffière.
Next is recommendations, private meeting of Moncton City Council, November 10th, 2025. Moncton City Council at its private meeting of November 10th, 2025 reports that the agenda for the private meeting of that date was adopted and recommends the following. 1, that City Council declare a portion of PID 00763516 Killam Drive as surplus for the purpose of affordable housing. The background on this item is while there is support for affordable housing at the municipal level, it is challenging to find ways to increase the overall supply of affordable housing. In addition to project funding challenges, the most significant barrier for nonprofit housing developers to realize their projects is ownership of land. In many cases, funding from other levels of government is withheld as applicants cannot provide proof of ownership of lands to substantiate their request. In light of competitive market and the increasing cost and value of land, many nonprofits struggle to increase their respective unit counts. Where appropriate, city-owned surplus land or portions of land that can be repurposed for affordable housing is a major tool for the city can use to assist in increasing housing surplus. The municipal plan, through policy, encourages the city to explore opportunities that assist with the provision of lands for affordable housing.
Merci, Madame la Greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Conseiller Kingston, Conseiller Richard. Merci. Are there any questions on this? I don't see any, Madame la Greffière, so we can go to the vote.
Conseillère Leblanc, on pourrait avoir votre vote, s'il vous plaît? Merci.
Merci beaucoup. It's a unanimous vote. Motion carried.
Next is that Moncton City Council declare a surplus that portions of Promenade Lee Drive, as shown in the attached plan of the survey, Promenade Lee Drive prepared by WSP and dated November 3rd, 2025, for the purpose of land exchange with Moncton Industrial Development for 44 square meters of land to be created as Rue Davis Street, and which surplus lands will follow the disposition process for a parcel designated as an extraordinary parcel, and that Moncton City Council direct administration to proceed with the stop-up and close process of a portion of Promenade Lee Drive as shown on the attached plan of Survey Promenade Lee Drive prepared by WSP and dated November 3rd, 2025. The backgrounder on this: the above lands are designated surplus for disposition to allow for the consideration of stopping up and closing of a portion of Promenade Lee Drive and land exchange with Moncton Industrial Development. This will better serve any development of the site by improving both the lot fabric and street alignment.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this? Conseiller Léger, Conseiller Crossman. C'est beau, merci. Are there any questions? There are no questions, so we will go to the vote. Merci, motion carried unanimously.
Number 3, motion that council declare a surplus parcel 25A being a portion of Argyle Street as shown on a survey plan prepared by Kim Labrie, NBLS, that council designate the land surplus for economic development purposes and waive the requirement for public advertisement. That subject to the stopping up and closing of parcels 25A, council authorize the City of Moncton to enter an agreement of purchase and sale with Elian Elias for the sale of the parcel 25A to be annexed to and form a part of PID 00759399 as an as-is, where-is basis, and that the mayor and the city clerk be authorized to execute all necessary documents to give effect to the sale of parcel 25A and to affix the corporate seal of the City of Moncton thereto.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this? Conseiller Kingston, Conseiller Butler. C'est beau, merci. Are there any questions? I don't see any, so we will go to the vote. Thank you. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Number 4, that the City of Moncton grants an easement to the New Brunswick Power Corporation over a portion of its property referred to as PID 05011655 located in Turtle Creek in the parish of Coverdale in the county of Albert for the purpose of constructing and maintaining in certain towers and support for said towers, lines, and cables for electric power transmissions, and further that the City of Moncton accepts and releases the New Brunswick Power Corporation for consideration offered in accordance with the terms and compensation breakdown and stumpage release, and that the City of Moncton grants the easement to the New Brunswick Power Commission and Bell Canada over a portion of its properties referred to as PIDs 050116663 and 050111705 located in Turtle Creek in the parish Coverdale in the county of Albert for the purpose of constructing and maintaining improving certain poles and lines for electric power distribution and the telecommunication, and that the deputy mayor and city clerk be authorized to execute all necessary related documents and to affix the corporate seal of the City of Moncton thereto. And the backgrounder on this is that the New Brunswick Power Commission has requested the City of Moncton grant a transmission line easement over a portion of city-owned property in the Turtle Creek area, specifically PID 050111655, to construct and maintain in perpetuity its transmission line 3226 spanning from Salisbury to Nova Scotia border. The city has also received a second request from NB Power on its own behalf and on behalf of Bell Canada to obtain and register an easement for telecommunication and distribution of electricity over a portion of the city-owned properties along Route 910, also in the Turtle Creek area, referred to as PIDs 050116663 and 050111705.
Merci, Madame Lagreffiere. Conseiller Kingston and Conseiller Leblanc, do you wish to move and second this motion? C'est beau, merci. Are there any questions on this? There are none, so we will go to the vote. Merci. Motion carried unanimously. Merci.
Okay, the next is reports from administration, rapport de l'administration. And first is acquisition of a 20-ton equipment trailer. Motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council direct administration to proceed with the acquisition of one 20-ton equipment trailer using surplus funds available in the 2025 budget.
Merci, Madame Lagreffiere. Could I have a Conseiller Légère and Conseiller Leblanc? Donc, are there any questions? Conseiller Richard, allez-y.
Question vite, merci, Madame Asterio. Just wanted to clarify, is that going to be sole source, or is that's going to tender? Press the button. Nope, press the button. I can hear you, but.
I should come up more often. Yes, Counselor, we did price around. The only place we could find was this supplier to sole source the item.
Okay.
So it is a sole source.
I just wanted to clarify because I didn't see it mentioned, so.
Okay.
Okay, merci.
Merci. Conseiller Steves.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Probably a question for Jacques. Surplus funds, lack of snow, maybe? What caused the surplus in your best estimation?
Thank you, Your Worship. To Councillor Steves. Yes, snow certainly plays a major factor, but there would be other things as well. There would be vacancies. There's a couple of items I'm going to bring in a week or so of things that were supposed to get done, but it didn't just work out for multiple reasons. But overall, snow's a major factor. Vacancies would be the second one as well, when it takes longer to fill a position or things like that. Those would be your two major reasons. Thank you.
Merci. There are no other questions, so we will go to the vote. Thank you. Motion carried unanimously.
Next is 10.2, tender TCS 25066 mezzanine office renovations at Kodiak Transpo. The motion before council this evening is that Moncton City Council approve the award of tender TCS 25066 mezzanine office renovations Kodiak Transpo to the lowest bidder, meeting all terms and conditions and specifications, to Jones and Oak Contracting for the total tender price of $214,799.30, including HST at 15%, and that Moncton City Council approve the use of Kodiak Transpo's surplus for the 2025 fiscal year to fund the shortfall budget.
Merci, Madame Lagreffiere. Could I have a Conseiller Légère moved and seconded by Conseiller Steves? Merci. Are there any questions? Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Non, il n'y a pas de questions, so we will go to the vote. Merci. La motion passée à l'unanimité. Merci.
Reading of bylaws, les lectures des arrêtés municipaux. These are all first readings this evening, and council has provided me approval to give these first readings. They will also be found on our website. We can send them to citizens via mail, or they can contact our office and we'll get them a copy. The first is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton Development Charge bylaw, being bylaw Z 1519.5. This is concerning the development charges. It's a first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant la redevance d'aménagement dans la ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté Z 1519.5. C'est concernant les redevances d'aménagement. C'est la première lecture. 11.2 is a bylaw and amendment of a bylaw, fees, rates, and charges for the services provided by the City of Moncton, being bylaw A 1324.3. It's a first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant les droits, tarifs et les redevances des services fournis par la Ville de Moncton, soit l'arrêté A 1324.3. C'est la première lecture. 11.3 is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.56. It's regarding the St. Bernard's development at 75 Botsford. It's the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z 222.56. C'est la place Saint-Bernard, 75 avenue Botsford, première lecture. 11.4 is a bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw, being bylaw Z 222.57, 124 McSweeney. It's the first reading. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté de zonage de la Ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z 222.57, 124 avenue McSweeney. C'est la première lecture.
Merci.
Oui.
Vous terminez, non?
Non.
Vous avez reçu, non?
Pas encore.
Allez-y. C'est
OK.
beau.
Item numéro 12 et avis de motion et résolution, notice of motions and resolutions. It's the appointment of a bylaw officer. Council has that in their package. The media has probably reviewed it as well. We would need a mover and a seconder.
Motion carries. Donc, j'ai pas compris.
Need a mover and a
Pour
seconder.
laquelle?
12.1.
OK. Donc, conseiller Steves and conseiller Adjet. C'est beau, merci. Donc, are there questions? No, I don't see any questions. Donc, we will go to the vote. Merci. Motion carried unanimously.
You don't have any appointments?
There are no appointments this
No?
evening, no.
Okay. And that would terminate your meeting.
You do have a motion for
We did it already.
enforcement officers.
We did that.
On vient de faire ça, excusez-moi. OK, c'est beau. Donc, je pense que, conseiller Richard, c'est le temps de lever la séance.
Oui, OK.
C'est beau. On commence à être perdu un peu. Merci.